Oh, hello everybody. How are you? I just got carried away there, just checking some stuff. I hope you're doing well, guys and girls. I wanted to just come on today, this evening for me. It's Sunday, the 8th of March, 2026. And hasn't time flown by so quickly as in respect of 2026, hasn't it gone quickly? It's coming, it's going. Valentine's Day has come and gone. Next week, Sunday, where I am, it's going to be Mother's Day. So, yeah, things are slowly moving on. I just wanted to come on, essentially to just have a chat, do a little bit of Bible study, have some conversation about the Word, about God, maybe even about what's happening in the world today. So I just thought it'd be quite nice for myself just to come on and speak to you. My last live stream in which I read Genesis chapters 29 to 30, I can check, and in it was something about Laban, which is Rachel's and Leah's father, that Jacob went over to, that their father was Jacob's uncle. And after he deceived Esau by taking the blessings that Esau should have had, his mother advised him to escape or to run away or to go to her uncle's family, to her brother's family rather, and stay with them while Esau's anger could settle down. And that's what we read last week. And when Rachel and Leah and Jacob left Laban, we were told that Rachel took her father's gods. And I recollect saying to you that, well, I had read something in the Apocrypha regarding that described Rachel's father, Laban's gods. And I gave a kind of like a paraphrased a description, but I really thought of interest because I thought, well, why don't we read about this? Because what I'm going to describe might sound familiar to some of you. And it certainly sounded familiar to me when I initially read it. And it's in the Apocrypha, but I thought it was initially in the Book of Jubilees, because Jubilees does go through Genesis and Exodus, just like it does in the Bible that we're aware of. But then there's also the Book of Jasher, Jasher, which also goes through the books of Genesis and Exodus. So trust me now, I totally forgot about Jasher. And I spent a while looking through Jubilees, wondering, where did I find this? I'm certain that I read this. I read this somewhere. And I reminded myself about the Book of Jasher, and I thought, okay, yes, now I know where I saw it. It's actually in the Book of Jasher. So I thought, well, why don't I just read that bit, just to start us off, because it's really interesting, because I don't think much has changed. Because what I'm saying is that if they were doing it then, they'd be doing it now. It's just so that we might, well, I don't participate in such things, but there will be people who do. Okay, so it's nice to know these things. I think it's unfortunate that that wasn't included in the Bible or the Book of Jasher that gives us this description of Laban's gods, idols, isn't included in the Bible. But we just have to take things the way that they are. And there's something else that's not included in the Bible that just came to my mind. That's it. No, this is included in the Bible. It's when Saul, the first king of Israel, anointed by God, and for some reason he rebelled. He was doing things that he was not meant to do. So he went to a woman, a witch, and she brought up the spirit of Samuel. And I recollect Samuel saying, "What have you done? Why are you bringing me up here? What do you want?" And Saul has some inquiries to make. And I said to myself, well, hang on a minute. She just brought up the spirit of Saul, brought him up from wherever he was, and he was now communicating with Saul, answering questions. And I said to myself, can't they still be doing that today? Now, if you know where to go and you want to consult with somebody who's already dead, would that still be possible, like the way that Saul consulted with Samuel? So, because these things are good to know, because with the release of these files, the Epstein files, which has revealed so much, who knows what people get up to these days? And these things that have been happening in the past that are quoted in the Bible or books related to the Bible, where people are using magic and witchcraft and consulting with Satan and demons. Okay, I don't know if there's anywhere in the Bible where we're told that people have consulted with Satan, but we are told when they've consulted with these witches, and maybe even wizards, or with their idols, that they have been told things. Okay, so I think it'd be great if I just read what Laban's gods were, and then who knows, we can just take it from there. But before we read it, I just want to welcome you all to today's Bible study. It's always good to celebrate life, because when I went to bed last night, I'm sure when you went to bed last night, we just went to sleep. But it's by the grace of the Lord that we've woken up this morning and we can celebrate another Sunday in our lives. There's always a good reason to be happy and to give praises to the Lord for preserving us and letting us see another day. It's such a great thing. Now, sometimes one can take it for granted, but it's such a great thing, because the powers that be, I tell you, when you're a child of the Lord, when you're somebody that the Lord has blessed, you have enemies. And the Lord does tell us that our enemies, our war isn't against flesh and blood. It's against the spirits. It's against the principalities. It's against the powers. I'm paraphrasing. In the spiritual places. Should I say high heavens? That's what our battle is against. So we don't even see these characters. But no doubt we're surrounded by them. And it's from the protection of the Lord. That's why we can wake up every morning with happiness in our hearts. Okay, so this is the book of Jasher. Okay, I'm at chapter, I lost my page. Yeah, chapter 31. And we're going to go to verse 44, because this is where it starts. Well, let me just start from verse 39. Can you see that here? Yeah, you can. Okay. And Laban did not know that Jacob had gone from him, for Laban had been that day sheep shearing. And Rachel stole her father's images, and she took them and she concealed them upon the camel upon which she sat, and she went on. And this is the manner of the images. In taking a man who is the firstborn, and slaying him, and taking a hair off his head, and taking salt, and salting the head, and anointing it with oil. Then taking a small tablet of copper, or a tablet of gold, and writing the name upon it, and placing the tablet under his tongue, and taking the head with the tablet under the tongue, and putting it in the house, and lighting up lights before it, and bowing down to it. And at the time when they bow down to it, it speaks to them, and in all matters that they ask of it, through the power of the name which is written in it. And some make them in the figures of men, of gold and silver, and go to them in times known to them. And the figures receive the influence of the stars, and tell them future things, and in this manner were the images which Rachel stole from her father. And Rachel stole these images, which were her father's, in order that Laban might not know through them where Jacob had gone. And Laban came home, and he asked concerning Jacob and his household, and he was not to be found. And Laban sought after the images to know where Jacob had gone, and could not find them. And he went to some other images, and he inquired of them, and they told him that Jacob had fled from him to his fathers, to the land of Canaan. You see, oh, there you go. I just didn't put that down for you. So you see, how do you know these things are still going on? And in order to get that power, or to get that advantage over everybody else, he had to do what? He had to commit murder. And not just murder anybody. He had to murder the firstborn. Was it the firstborn, or was it the first son? A man who is the firstborn. So you have to find somebody and ensure that that person is the firstborn of his parents. Then you murder them and cut off their head. Okay, so, I'm in no doubt, this place is an evil place. So I'm in no doubt that these things must be going on. This is why we need the protection. This is not only the reason why, okay, but, one has to be aware of the world that they live in. And if it's quoted here, trust me, it's happening. Okay, because this is post the flood. Okay, so it kind of, how can I say it? All that glitters is not gold. And just as before the release of these files about the lives of all they call them now the Epstein class. Yeah, the lives of all the Epstein class that people at one time might have envied, might have wanted to be part of. Now that we hear about the things allegedly that they have been engaged in, the variety of things that they have been engaged in, nothing good, nothing holy, nothing that one would want to repeat, the things they do in secret, the things that they do not announce publicly. Their public image is very different from their private image, and from the the relationship that they have amongst their class and the things that they do in secret, because there's a book in the Gospels. It's in the New Testament. It's not one of the Gospels. It says, I think it's an epistle of Paul's, where he mentions that one cannot speak about the things they do in secret. And by they, we're talking about those who have not entered into the house of the Lord, those who treasure the lusts of this world, and those who do anything to gain an advantage over their fellow man, those who lust for riches, those who lust for, sex, money, fame. Okay? Those who have that as an overarching principle, those who want to join the club of people that are into these things, those who want to be exclusive. If you read the Bible, we are told that the things that they do in secret, we do not even want to talk about them. And the things that we have heard taking place in those files are the things that one cannot even feel that they even want to speak about. Okay, so it's a learning process, but one has to understand what is going on in the world that we live in today. I just wanted to share that with you. And, do your own research. This is the Book of Jasher, verse 31, I think it is. It's all there. It's all written down there. So, okay. Temple Snell says, Jasher is a mess. It's fine as long as you think of it as a fairly modern commentary. That's a fair point, but I think it's got something to offer. I certainly do think it's got something to offer. And it does follow on. It kind of, how can I say it? The stories are related to the contents of the Bible. It just goes into more depth, and it just sort of covers things that the Bible hasn't covered. So we are told in the Bible that when Rachel left with Leah, her sister, Jacob, when they left their father's house, they left in secret. And we are told in the Bible that Rachel took her father's gods. Well, we're not given a description of those gods, but Jasher does provide us with that description. It's the same story, just with the bits that haven't been included in the Bible. So I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't call that part of it a mess. I think it's quite relevant. But thanks for that comment, though. I appreciate it. So what else is there? What else is going on? There's so much going on. Well, not that much. Nothing to really fuss about. But I was going to continue reading about the Book of Genesis, because like I said, and especially if you're joining for the first time, it's good to have a knowledge of the foundation of the Bible, because it kind of helps us understand the books that follow it. And it also kind of helps us understand the formation of the world in comparison to what we've taught, or what I was taught at school. Okay? So I always think it's very important to appreciate the Lord's creation. And when we appreciate the Lord's creation, we can also appreciate our fellow human beings. And we can also appreciate having respect for ourselves and for other people. That's the origin story. Okay, I feel from the way that I feel I have a much more appreciation and respect for my fellow man than what I would if I didn't know how the Lord created man. It's unfortunate that we're living a life of where we're not living a life of the intention that the Lord had for us, but that's where we are. And there's one thing I feel that I've noticed amongst man is the hate we have for each other and the continual lies and deception. But when you read the Bible, that started right from the second generation with Cain and Abel, where Cain murdered his brother just for the mere fact that, the Lord likes your offering and the Lord doesn't like mine. How comes you're better than me? Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kill you. And what did that solve? Nothing. But it just goes to show that once man fell and once man got kicked out from the garden, evil started. Okay? And Satan came into man's life and started to run things from there. So when you go back to Genesis, see how the Lord created the world and how man was living in peace and in tranquility in the Garden of Eden till he fell. I think that would kind of influence one's life, especially when you start going through, say, the Book of Genesis, and you start to understand how the Lord decided, my understanding, to separate a group of people from the rest so that they could be a holy nation, and through that nation all the rest of the world would be blessed. Because I assume the expectation was that if they obeyed the Lord's commandments, if they followed the Lord's statutes and laws, other nations would see them and they also will be preaching the word of God to them. And they might say, well, hang on a minute. Look at the Israelites. Look at the Hebrews. Don't you see the peace, the unity and tranquility that they're living in? Why is that? Why are they different? And they say, well, it's their God. They worship God. But we have gods. Our gods don't do that for us. Oh, well, hang on a minute. Maybe we should go and talk to these guys and probably worship their God as well. Because we're told that Satan is a god of the air. So he runs things here. The only unfortunate thing is that the Israelites did not live up to the Lord's expectations. They fell as well. But I think when you do know about them, you can see that the Lord was creating an exclusive community. And he did say through them the world would be blessed. Okay, but I don't think we've gotten to that stage yet. So things kind of moved on from there. But we do know that that term has been used recently. And it's been used also to justify the goings on in Gaza. And, that's how people can always use the word of the Lord for good and for bad. And there are various interpretations. It's not just that bit. People pick and choose. They pick and choose the bits that they feel support their point of view, that support their agenda. And they twist it and turn it, that if you don't really know the word of the Lord for yourself, you can be deceived. Okay, and something just came to my mind, and I was trying to think of apart from what I've just said, I'm trying to think of what else have people kind of like brazenly just twisted, or they just brazenly want to argue about it and twist it and slant it to suit their own perspective. Okay? You know, it's a little bit like, isn't there, there's a commandment where thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay? And it's like, well, okay, who commits adultery? It's people that are married, isn't it? So then one could argue, well, okay, I'm not married, but I'm engaging in sex. Is that adultery? Because I'm not married to that person? You know, there's an argument there if somebody wants to argue it. But then again, Jesus does tell us, is it Jesus or is it Apostle Paul? Jesus does tell us that the only reason there is for divorce is adultery. But Apostle Paul tells us you should flee fornication. Okay, so, you know, you should what? Flee fornication. So, on the presumption that the only time that there is room for sex is between husband and wife and once they get married. Okay, so that's when the adultery comes into it. You know, little things like that. And there are some major faux pas that I've heard from people as well that I'm just saying to myself, really? You think the Bible says that? So, I think it's good to sort of try one's best to understand what you're reading. And also, I know Temple Snell did mention commentary. I'll show you, this is my Bible here. It's the ESV Study Bible. There we go. And I tend to use, my main Bible is King James Version of the Bible. But I use the ESV because it's in modern English, isn't it? I want people to understand what I'm saying. There's no need to read in English from, 1640. I love the prose. It sounds really cool, but, you know, you want people to understand what you're saying. Many times have I disagreed with the commentary. There's parts of it that I have found helpful, and there's parts of it that I've disputed. And I thought, I disagree with what's being said here. You know, because when I was reading, I actually forgot to comment on this when I was actually reading it. It was only after that I realized that when they were talking about giving tithes, because that's around about Jacob's ladder, when Jacob had that, is it Jacob? Yeah, when Jacob had that dream, when he was making his way to Laban, and he had a dream on the way there, and he dreamt of a ladder with angels going up and coming down. Then I think when he woke up, we can actually read it here. I'm in no rush. But let me just paraphrase. I think when he woke up, he was happy and he praised the Lord. And he said, whatever, he called the place, I think it was Bethel. I'll try to find that while we're on it. He called it Bethel. And then he said, I will give 1/10 of whatever I make as praises to the Lord. And I think that's where churches took on some churches, not all, took on the saying that, well, you need to give 10% of your income to the church. And I don't think that's a valid interpretation for tithing. Okay, I think it was kind of like two different things. But I don't want to be controversial. I just want to just give examples of where it's quite possible, and I know people have used certain phrases in the Bible, verses, chapters, and twisted it to suit their circumstances or to suit whatever they're doing, like enslaving people, things like that, or like calling people names, because the N-word does originate from the Bible. I've seen it. Okay, and I will go there one day, but I'm not going to go there today because I haven't prepared for that. But yeah, there's many places where people, I think actually, I'm sure I heard on the news that certain generals in the American army were telling their soldiers that Donald Trump had been anointed by Jesus to carry out a holy war against the Iranians. Yes, that's what I heard. So now the first question is, one, why are you even telling your soldiers that? And two, where is that in the Bible? That Jesus would anoint a man on earth to carry out a holy war against Muslims? I mean, just say you haven't got a reason for conducting a war with Iran rather than making up stories and trying to get people to hate each other. You know, that's just ridiculous. But let me see if I can find out where this Jacob's ladder is, because I think it's really interesting. Yeah, you have a look. I think it's really interesting. I think if we go to Jacob sent to Laban, here it is. All right, let me just start reading. This is chapter 28, Book of Genesis. And can I bring it up on my computer? Be easier for you guys. Let me see. Chapter 28. Here we go. Yes, so Genesis 28. Okay. Oh, I know what's gone on. I think because I've got this thing, this is my bad. Probably because it's on like a full page. Oh, there we go. Right, yeah, I'm going to share this with you now. I'm sorry about that. No, these things just happened. I just wanted this to be some Bible study and a general conversation. And you know what? I didn't really write down the various verses that I needed, and I didn't really go there straight, so bear with me. But this is an important bit here, though. We can just go to, let me share this with you on the computer. There we go. Right. Let's read from chapter 28, verse 10. Jacob left Beersheba and went towards Haran, and he came to a certain place and stayed there that night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you, your offspring, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and will keep me in this way, that I go and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. That's what I was talking about. So, I don't think from what I've just read, you can justify saying to your congregation, give me 10% of your salary. I think that's an over-interpretation. This was a discourse between Jacob and God. God appeared to Jacob in his dream. And Jacob said to the Lord, if you preserve me on my journey to Laban's house and on my way back from Laban's house, everything I make, I will give a tenth to you in honor and in praise for your blessings, for your protection in my life, and for the way he felt as the Lord had blessed him and honored him, that you will be the progenitor of people who cannot even be numbered. They will come from your seed, and I will bless you, and through you the whole world will be blessed. So that's why Jacob said, I will give the Lord a tenth of everything that I earn. So, if you're giving a tenth of your earnings to your church, that's up to you. But you need to read the Bible properly to determine if the justification of you giving a tenth of your earnings to the church, or if you're being told what Jacob said to the Lord is the justification, well, you need to read the Bible for yourself and make up your own mind about that. Okay, why don't we just read the notes to it? Just talking about that. Now, let's just read what the notes say. That would be 28:22. Okay, let me bring this up. Here are the notes, 28-22. Okay, Jacob promised that he will construct a sanctuary for God, the consecrated stone being the first part of the process. Temple building becomes an important part of the duties undertaken by the royal line descended from Jacob. I will give a full tenth to you. Centuries later, Israelite worshippers gave a tenth of their income to God. As an expression of their commitment to him, this is regularly referenced as the tithe. So that's an interpretation. Okay, here they say Israelite worshippers regularly gave a tenth of their income to, as an expression of their commitment to him. This is regularly referenced as the tithe. Do you think the Lord wants you to give a tenth of your income to your church as an expression of your commitment to the Lord? This is what we're told here. What do you think the Lord wants from us? Remember, the Lord created us in his image. So what do you think the Lord would want? A tenth of our income as a commitment to him? I don't think so. But I'm going to get one thing first of all. Let me get my King James Version study Bible and let's see what they say, if it's anything different from what we've just read. Bear with me. Hi, thank you for bearing up with me there. Right, I just wanted to get I'll show it to you, my King James Bible, beautiful Bible, study Bible as well. So it's published Thomas Nelson. Okay, different versions, but this is a Thomas Nelson version. Right, let's see what they say about Jacob's ladder and the 10%. Right, here we go. Let's just read it. Let's just start from... Okay, that wasn't meant to happen. Guess what happened there? My battery ran out on the overhead camera. But I do have I wonder if I can bring that up though. I do have an electronic version of this Bible. Actually, I do have it, but I don't think I can. Well, you're going to have to trust me. I won't make this up. Okay, this is my bad. I ran that on a battery. The other one's plugged in. Just when you want something to happen, then it just works against you. But let me read for you what it says. Genesis 28, verse 20 to 22. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I will come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. Right, what does it say in verse 22? If it says anything about it. Okay, this is quite long, but I'm going to read it all. 10 to 22, where it gives out an explanation. Right, it says, I will surely give a 10th to you. This was voluntary on Jacob's part. God had not commanded it. Where Abraham's 10th is to Melchizedek, who was also voluntary, it was not a requirement until the law was given to Israel. And then 2 tithes were to be given, not one, as many assume. The annual tithe for the maintenance of the Levites. It may be that every 3rd year and the 2nd tithe was not brought to the sanctuary, but was kept at home and used to feed the Levites and the poor, according to Deuteronomy. If not, then there was a 3rd tithe every 3rd year, that thus a consistent Israelite might give 23 1/3% annually, plus offerings for sin and so forth. Right, that was quite a lot deeper than that went a bit deeper than the ESV Bible, Study Bible did. But these weren't Israelite times, weren't they? And I suppose, I don't know, does it apply to Christianity? It's a matter of interpretation. So that's just a matter of choice, to be totally honest. Yeah. So, well, I mean, I didn't want to get controversial, and I don't think I did, but it's always good to read these things. And as you can see, we have 2 different explanations in 2 different study Bibles. So, you know, that's how it is, I'm afraid. But my interpretation is that, well, we haven't gotten to the part of the Bible where the Israelites were basically ordered to maintain the Levites. So, you know, these were men who were dedicated from birth, basically, to tend in the temple and to be part of the synagogue. So that was their life. That's all they did. So they didn't have a job. They were not earning every other kind of income. So they have to eat, don't they? So I'm assuming that as part of the law in Deuteronomy, these are the things that the Israelites were told to do. Wow, that was interesting. I never thought I would even go there. So, what else can we talk about? There's been, I keep on saying it, that there's been so much going on in the news, but there's always been news. Every day is a news day. Some days have been quiet, some days have been busy, but there's always some news that's going on. There's always there's always something happening somewhere in the world that we are being told about. And what I've noticed recently is that we've gone from, it's like there's no break. It's like we need to kind of be kept busy. thinking of things that are not really relevant. They're not really that relevant, though, are they? But it's like, because I remember we had COVID, right? And that went on for a few years. And we were being told to do various things and, take vaccines and being told what will happen if we don't take the vaccines and being told to stay at home for 1 year, 2 years because of a bug, right? Which was essentially a version of the flu, okay? And there's always a flu strain that goes around every year and, people die from it, but for the vast majority of the people, they, they catch it and they move on. They get on with life. But what I was saying, from COVID and all what was going on around it, then immediately we forgot about COVID and we had the war in Ukraine. It's just like COVID never happened. And we just went from COVID to the war in Ukraine, right? I'm in London, so I'm talking what I was being bombarded with. And I'm sure from whatever part of the world that you're in, being that I'm in Europe, the major concern would be, well, there's a war in Eastern Europe. That's not too far away. In the 2020s, it's totally unexpected that a country like Russia and Ukraine used to be part of the same federation and who essentially are of Slavic origin decided to go to war. In the most part of Slavic origin. And it was like, wow, okay, fair enough. Then from just before the war, there was in the United States, they had this, what was it? An attempted coup, which is like, are you being serious? A coup in the United States? And then we went from there into Russia, Ukraine. That stuff that's taken on, that's gone on now for 5 years. And while that was going on, what else has happened in between that? Yeah, then Donald Trump spent all that time wanting to become president again. And that was like a major issue for us in Europe, And he got elected. And it was, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I will do this, that, I would have sorted that in 24 hours. All that kind of stuff. And here as well, we had our own elections. And then I think there was like a World Cup, wasn't there? Wasn't there like a 2022 World Cup? Yeah, there was a 2022 World Cup just after COVID. Then we started to go back to work. Then there was an American election. There's Russia, Ukraine. And within a year, it's like Venezuela. Let's starve Cuba. And now it's like, let's bomb Iran. It's like, well, what's going to happen next? And in between that, there's been stuff like, I don't know, there's been military coups in various African nations. I think the last one was it in Benin Republic or was it Togo? I think it was in Benin Republic. Then the French got involved and they bombed them. Then they got the Nigerians involved and they bombed them. And then the following, just Christmas in 2025, Trump bombed Nigeria. I was like, what's he bombing Nigeria for? What's going on there? It's a terrorist. Boko Haram. Okay. And now we've got the war in Iran. It's like, when are we going to get some respite? And, I'm sure I've missed out. Oh, we had the Olympic Games in France as well. Was that in 22? No, the Olympics were in 24, wasn't it? Yeah, they were in 24. they had that very strange scene where they were having like the Last Supper and it was all filled up with people. Then they had the, was it the grey horse or the silver horse? And people were referring about that in Revelations. I actually done a video. I did a Twitch, yeah, I done a Twitch thing about the grey horse. And I actually might be able to play it here. Would I be able to play it? Have I got this? Unfortunately, I haven't got a page set up to capture a web page, not on my scenes, unfortunately. If not, I would have played that presentation where we could have just gone through it. Those were my very early days on Twitch, very early and inconsistent days. So like I do a live stream like once every 3 months and it was quite rudimentary, but I did speak about that. I did speak about it. I'd probably be able to play the audio, but it'd be much more interesting if I could see the picture. But what I do is probably next week when I do one of these conversations and just general Bible study, just away from the main topic of Genesis that I'm reading through now. So when I do that, I just play that video that I did then. I would have set up the right scene so we can all watch it. And just take it from there. I think from what I can recollect, people were concerned about the grey horse. There's something it's mentioned in Revelations and such talk. And so I don't watch. I used to be an avid sport fan. I used to follow sports a lot. World Cups, Olympic Games, the World Athletics Championships, even local, just local teams playing football. I used to go and watch football matches. I used to play football a lot. But back in 2015 or 2016, I started to lose faith in sports because I started to realize, just from my experiences, and it's very difficult to explain this to people because you have to kind of experience it yourself. Because if somebody tells you that they've stopped liking something they've liked all of their life, and they tell you the reason, you might think this person's crazy. What was he saying that for? But I realized that professional sports is it's basically, I'm looking for the right word, it's staged. The results are known in advance. I know it's hard to believe that, especially if you've been interested in sports all of your life, like I had been. It's hard to believe when somebody tells you that everything you've seen there is staged, that the results are known in advance. But trust me, they are. But these were my thoughts from 2015 based on what I experienced. So the last Football World Cup that I watched was the 2014 World Cup. And the last Olympic Games that I sat down to watch was the 2012 World Cup, which was in my hometown of London. So, And guess what? I was convinced about my thoughts, so I just stopped watching sports, which was quite hard for me, but then quite easy at the same time when I realized that this is all staged, it's all fake. So, as part of this Epstein files, I heard that there was an email exchange between that dude and I think someone's wife about who was going to win the, I don't know what my American brethren call their version of yeah, it's your version of football. They betted on that match because they knew the result in advance. And I thought to myself, oh, my word, my thoughts have been confirmed that this is staged. And if you're like, maybe, as I just read, if you have gods that Laban has, they will foretell the future for you. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what they said. I'm just telling you what we just read from the Apocrypha. I'm not making it up. It's there. Okay, it tells Laban the future. It tells him what's happening. It did tell him where Jacob went. Okay, so these guys, they knew who was going to win the Super Bowl. That's it. And just to confirm, he also won the lottery twice. He won 80 million and 40 million on the lottery. Now, come on, how lucky do you really have to be? Was it rigged? I don't know. But I've just read to you how they can foretell the future. I'm not making it up. I'm just making you aware of what this historical book says. Okay, so there we go. Okay, I stopped playing the lottery around about that time as well, because that's when I realized from my experiences that this is fake and it's rigged. At times they might get some guy to win the lottery, then they follow him for like 5 years while he blows the 12 million or the 20 million that he got. We've had people like that here. You know, they follow them as they blow their money, or as the money that they win makes them unhappy. They get divorced, they remarried and they get divorced again. They're rejected by the community because that community doesn't gamble, you know, all that kind of stuff. We get shown that. Or you can find videos about that on YouTube, about how people won the money and they lost it in X amount of years and how they lost it. I think some people have even been murdered after they won the lottery. But we don't get told about these characters who are already millionaires and billionaires who now also win the lottery. Not once, but twice. All right, you know, I'm so happy that I can laugh about it. I'm so happy that I realized this before it got publicized. But now it's been publicized. Now everybody knows. Everybody is privy to that information. It's not a secret anymore. So if you want to go and gamble, if you want to go and spend your money on the lottery in the hopes that you might win, I don't know. You know, you might win, but think about it. Just think about it. Think about what we're being told. Okay, so I think, do you know anybody who's ever won the lottery at all? Talk about winning it twice. Do you know anybody who can predict the outcome of a professional match and get it right and gamble on that result and win? Do you know anybody that can do that? Do you know anybody who has the gods of the description that I just read in Jasher about Laban? Do you? These are all negative. It's unholy. And even if we do know them, we do not want to participate in what they do. We want to separate ourselves away from it. We don't want to be influenced by it. We don't want that lust to enter into our veins and become a part of us. Okay, we want to do right and conduct ourselves in the eyes of the Lord. We want to be what? Holy. And how do we do that? How do we do it? We do that by obeying the Lord's commandments. And we do that by knocking on the door and asking the Lord to come into our lives and being blessed by the Holy Spirit. We can do that by understanding the word of the Lord. Also, in addition, let me just backtrack. There's only one way to obtain wisdom. It's not through age. It's not through studying academics. Okay, it's not through studying theology. It's not through praying. It's not through observation. It's by obeying. It's by obeying, the Lord's commandments. What's difficult about that? Think about it. What is difficult about obeying the Lord's commandments? It's not difficult. And by obeying the Lord's commandments, that's how we obtain wisdom. And wisdom gives us the knowledge of knowing the difference between what? Good and evil. And then we knock on the door and invite the Lord to come into our lives so that the Lord will bless us in the Holy Spirit. We will be baptized in the Holy Spirit, not with water, with the Holy Spirit inside of us. And you separate yourself from all the negativity, all the hate that's going on in the world that we live in. Okay? Why don't we even just talk about the 10 Commandments? Why don't we just run through them? It can't be that difficult. Cannot be that difficult. Is it in Exodus? It's in Deuteronomy and it's in Exodus. I know it's been stated twice. I don't like to Google things like this, but let me see. I'm not going to Google it. We're not going to Google it. It's in Exodus because Moses, when they left Egypt, Moses went to the mountain, didn't he? And was it a bush of fire? And he was there for quite some time. And because he was there for a long time, what did the Israelites get up to? They thought he had died. And then they built themselves a calf of gold and started worshipping that. So let's just see. Should be in Exodus. Bear with me. Let's find where Exodus is. We're just going to read them. But we don't need to, who knows? We might just want to throw some further analysis on them. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do know, should be able to find it. They crossed the Red Sea. There's a song from Moses. There's bread from heaven. There's water on the rock. Here we go, the 10 Commandments. I'm looking at Exodus, not Genesis, chapter 20. Yeah, okay. The 10 Commandments, Genesis chapter 20. And God spoke to all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Let me just read that again. For you shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you and your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. That's it. Was there anything there that seemed difficult at all? I don't anything in that. I don't see anything that's hard there. Kind of makes sense to me. So, do you want to be wise? Do you want to be wise? Do you want to be blessed by the Lord? Do you want to honor him? This is how you honor the Lord, not by giving 10%, saying, I honor you, Lord, I make a commitment, here's 10%. No. This is how you honor the Lord, by obeying his commandments. What's difficult here? There's nothing difficult here. Don't you want to take a day of rest where you just can relax, just chill? You know? it's funny because I can talk about that because I only recently started doing that myself. I'll be honest. And initially it was difficult because I've always wanted to kind of let me do something. Let me just, it's like some forces were working against me saying, no, you shouldn't be resting. Go on and do something. But I was like, I just want to rest and switch my phone off and just chill. I'll do some cooking, but I just want to rest. The devil does not want us to rest. He doesn't want it. He knows why. Because when we're resting, because for me, I'll just talk about myself, right? Because I've been doing it now for, 3-4 months, maybe. I'll have to check my diary. But long enough for me to be able to speak about it. And I've really come to look forward to it now. That's, it's become like a part of me now. Some days I might do just a little bit more than what I have done the previous week. And I say, oh no, I really need to change it for next week. And, learn to relax. Just learn to rest. Because I tell you, until you start doing it, you wouldn't realize it, that you need it. That the week can be not only exhausting, draining spiritually, physically, mentally. Rest. Observe it. Let it work for you in the way that you want it to. Okay? Oh, the Lord's commandments. Isn't it a great thing? Well, it's been so nice speaking to you. It's been so nice sharing the word of the Lord. Thank you for your comments in chat. I really appreciate it. It's always good that we can share these things and grow together and experience together. I really, I do wish you the best of the rest of the week. May we all be blessed and may we experience another Sunday and celebrate it in the eyes of the Lord. So it's been a pleasure for me to be with you today, this evening for me. And I really look forward to speaking to you all again soon. I really look forward to sharing the word of the Lord with you. Take care now. And good night.